Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another episode of High on Rugs. Today we're going to be making a lovely hibiscus flower. I'm making another flower rug because Mother's Day is right around the corner and I wanted to do something nice for my mom. As always, we're getting started by pulling our image up to the laptop, which is hooked up to the projector and is projecting onto our tufting cloth, which is stretched across the frame. And then we can begin tracing out the design. Just using regular old Sharpie markers, and I'm just starting with the leaves, working my way to the center and tracing out the pistil. I just learned that's what that's called. Had to look it up. And, of course, tracing all the way around all the petals, making sure that everything's traced so that nothing gets left out, and then just doing these wrinkles in the petals. Just nice little details. And of course, I can't forget to do the highlights on the petals, which will give the whole thing a little bit more depth. And once we're done tracing, we can turn the lights on and see how we did. And that's looking like a nice flower. And so already we're getting started with the tufting, and I'm starting with the black yarn to just do the outline. Now overall this is a pretty small project, because I, for one, am someone who likes to wait till the last minute to do anything. And so I was doing this on a Thursday, with Mother's Day being on a Sunday. So I only had a little bit of time to get this done, so I had to make it kind of small. And that's okay, because I just kind of intended it to be a bath mat anyways. Thought it would look good, you know, step out of the shower onto the flower. Unintentional rhyme. And similarly to my last project, which was the Pokeball, I was using all colors of yarn that I already had in my stock, just sort of doing a recycling day. And if you look closely, you can see I run out of yarn quite a few times, and I had to re-roll some more. So I was just kind of using whatever I had, and was actually very low on black, but I got very lucky throughout the whole thing where I had just enough of pretty much every color. So it all worked out, and I didn't have to make any quick emergency runs to the store to pick up some more yarn. In my line of work, I do a lot of work outside with plants, and I have planted quite a few hibiscus trees. I think the flowers look very nice, but as a tree, I'd say it's pretty mediocre overall. They just blow over in any sort of storm, unless they have had a lot of time to really get rooted. But I do just love working with plants. And if you've ever noticed what a mean farmer's tan I have, that's the reason why. That Florida sun is no joke. And so at this point I have everything pretty much outlined, and I'm just down to a single thread, and I'm working on all the details. Just the folds inside the leaves and the wrinkles inside of the petals. And honestly, I love the way it looks right here. If that would work as a rug, I would leave it, but unfortunately there's not much to step on. But it would make for a pretty cool tattoo. And so with that all done, we're turning our attention to the red yarn, which is going to be pretty much the bulk of the flower itself. And we just have to fill in all these petals. And one thing that kind of sucks about doing all those details is now I have to work around them all. So I'm starting with the big meaty parts where I can do long, thick lines, and then I have to work in between every single one of those wrinkles that I put. But if you want to have a detailed looking rug, you have to just sort of accept that it's going to take a little while, and you really got to put in the work. So it's a bit of a grind, but we're just going in between all the wrinkles, and I think it'll be worth it in the end. And I'm kind of running out of things to talk about because there's only so much I can say about the hibiscus. So I'm currently reading about the hibiscus, and there's a lot of interesting information. For instance, the red hibiscus is the flower of the Hindu goddess Kali and appears frequently in depictions of her in the art of Bengal, India, often with the goddess and the flower merging in form. The hibiscus is used as an offering to Kali and the god Ganesha in Hindu worship. The hibiscus flower is often used to symbolize beauty. So I just learned something new, and I hope that you did too. Here's one more for you. The hibiscus flower is traditionally worn by Tahitian and Hawaiian girls. If the flower is worn behind the left ear, the woman is married or has a boyfriend. If the flower is worn on the right ear, she is single or openly available for a relationship. The yellow hibiscus is Hawaii's state flower. So that's some good information if you're taking a vacation. Why do I keep rhyming? It's not on purpose, I promise. But yeah, good to know if you're going to Hawaii and you're single and ready to mingle. Anyways, enough of my ranting and raving. We're coming all the way around to the final petal and just finishing it up here. And as you can see, I'm down to a single strand of yarn again. I ran out on my second skein, and I'm just kind of running a bead once and then running a second bead right through it so it has the same thickness throughout. And now we're on to the pink yarn, which is just going to be used for the highlights on the petals. Just a few strands here and there to give them a little more depth, a little highlight on there, make them look real nice and sharp. And that's really all we need the pink for, which is a shame because it's such a nice color. It's very silky looking. And you can see every single bead I do on pulling the yarn out. I've had a few people complain about me doing that. And I try not to when I'm doing big bulky areas, but for these smaller sections where I have to be a bit more articulate, they just kind of get in the way, so it's easier to pull each one after I'm running the bead. And with that, we're on to this light colored yellow, this pale yellow, which is going to be used for the pistil. Don't know why it's called that. It's not spelled like the gun. It's with another I, but that's something I learned today. So at least I can go to bed knowing that I learned a bit more about flowers. And this section's pretty easy, not much to do. Just running all the way up the stem of the pistil, I guess, if that's what it's called. Just a bunch of little lines and then one straight line where it gets real skinny. And then filling in all the way around the big chunky area. That is my scientific name for it. And of course I don't want to run into any of those black little details I put in, so I have to work around each and every one of them, making sure I don't run anything over. If you run over colors that you've already put in, you're going to have a bad time because it sort of checkers it on the other side and makes everything all mixed up. And you want to keep your lines pretty clean. So best practice not to run over anything you've already done, unless it's with the same color. Then it just kind of thickens it up. And now we're on to our final color, the green, which is going to be used for the leaves, obviously. And this is a very vibrant green, so this hibiscus plant must have been doing very well. And of course there's a lot to be done with the green. There are quite a few leaves and takes up quite a big surface area of the rug overall. So I was hoping and praying that the green I had would be enough. And like I said earlier, it kind of just made it. I was very lucky. But this section was probably the easiest of all, seeing as the only details are just that one skinny line going through, so I just kind of had to fill in the bottom, then work my way around to the top, and then fill it in all the way to the point. And it's just that easy. And with one leaf done, I've got about 4 more to go. And what the hell, I had to throw in one little time lapse in here. One more leaf being filled in. It's just satisfying to watch it happen so quickly. And I've worked my way all the way around and just finishing up the final leaf. And just like that, all the tufting is completed, and we can get right on to the finishing process. Of course, I'm dipping my hand right in the bucket and slathering that carpet glue all over it. And somebody told me not to do that. I probably shouldn't, I'll admit. I'll probably use gloves in the future. But once it's had a day or so to dry, I pull it off the rack, straighten it out, and trim off the excess. And then I cut it into little bite-sized pieces, bust out the hot glue gun, and get to gluing all the pieces down, rolling it over slightly to give it that nice edge, making sure you can't see any of the bottom from the top. It's very important if you want a very nice looking rug. And with that done, we can glue on our backing material. As you can see, I slapped it down on there, traced around it, cut out my tracing, and then sprayed the hell out of both sides with lots and lots of spray adhesive. And then just pressed it down, making sure there's no wrinkles anywhere, smoothing it all out, trimming off the excess, really honing those sharp edges, and then giving it a shave. Didn't go too crazy with the shaving this time, just knocking down all the high spots, making sure everything's uniform. I did take off quite a bit because, you know, like I said, I want it to be a bath mat. I didn't really think it was worth it to carve out the lines on this one, seeing as they all came out looking pretty clean, and I think the effect of carving it out would have been pretty marginal, and I was low on time anyways. And there it is, the final product, the hibiscus flower bath mat rug that I made for my mother for Mother's Day. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. It was a quick project, you know, like I said, I did it all kind of last minute, but I really think it came out nice. All the colors look very vibrant, the leaves look sharp, the petals have that nice highlight and those details that really make the whole thing pop. And I hope she'll be pretty pleased with it. So I thank you all for watching, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing because I will be back all the time with new rugs, elegant things like flowers, or goofy things like Peter Griffin falling down the stairs. You never know what you're gonna get. So until then, happy Mother's Day, and take care. Bye-bye.